welcome to Tudor Cooking with Claire. Now today I'm going to do a dessert. I'm going to do a kind of old style, what we call today rice pudding. But in the 15th century and the 16th century, rice pudding was actually made with sort of rice and spices and fruit and put into the intestines of animals like sausage skins and made into puddings in that way, like black pudding today, like blood puddings, which are types of sausages. So a rice pudding, I didn't want to be making you a rice pudding and having to force rice into sausage skins and that, because I'm sure it would go horribly wrong. So I found a recipe. It's called Rice in Almond Milk, and it's from a book called Two 15th Century Cookery Books, a book which is formed out of two 15th century manuscripts, so from the 1400s, but it's still a recipe that would have been used in Tudor times as well. This particular recipe, rice in almond milk, is from the Harleian manuscript 279, and the original recipe reads: rice. Take a portion of rice and pick them clean and seethe, which means boil. Seethe them well and let them cool. Then take good milk of almonds and put thereto, and seethe and stir them well, and put thereto sugar and honey, and serve. So really nice, simple dessert or sort of sweet treat. Now that doesn't give you any idea of measurements. It's something that the Tudor housewife would have just done by eye and by taste and by experience. So the modern measurements I'm using today are from a website called medievalcookery.com, which is a fabulous website. I really recommend you look at it for recipes and for advice and tips on sort of medieval cooking. But I've also added, I'm going to be using just a bit of cinnamon and nutmeg to flavour, because I love those flavours, and they were, of course, spices that were very, very popular in the Tudor period. So here's the recipe. 1 cup of rice. Now you can use any type of rice, any sort that you want. I'm using a paella rice just because here where I live in Spain, that's the kind of the short grain kind of rice that you use for risottos, paella, and also for puddings. You could use pudding rice or basmati rice. You can even use brown rice, which might be perhaps a bit more sort of what the Tudors or 15th century medieval people might have used. So you can use any type of rice that you want. So that's measurement is a cup, 1 cup of uncooked rice. Then almond milk. So that's, you tend to, I mean, we can get it in our supermarkets quite easily here. It's quite popular at the moment because of people having sort of lactose intolerance and that. So you can generally find almond milk, but I mean, you could use normal cow's milk if you wanted. So a cup of almond milk, then 1/8 of a cup of sugar. You can use white sugar. I'm using just a standard white sugar, or you can use a brown sugar or any type of sugar that you want. And then 1/8 of a cup of honey. I'm just using running honey. And then I've grated a bit of nutmeg, and I'm going to be using a pinch of powdered ground cinnamon, just to give it flavour, really, to add a bit of spice to it rather than just sweetness. Now the first thing we have to do is we have to cook our rice. Now you'll cook it in water, bring the water to the boil according to what it says on your rice instructions, you know how much water to do. So I'm going to boil my rice in boiling water until it's tender. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to put it in a pan and bring it up to a boil. I'll see you in a few minutes. I've just cooked my rice for the required time for this sort of rice, boiled it, and now I've let it cool. And now I'm going to add in the rest of the ingredients. So So I've got the almond milk that I'm going to pour in. The sugar. So that was a cup of almond milk, 1/8 of a cup of sugar, 1/8 of a cup of honey. You can use any honey that you want. One tip to get it out is to actually put some, dip your spoon in boiling water. Then it goes even runnier. And then I've just got a pinch of cinnamon and some grated nutmeg that I'm going to put in as well. And I'm just going to stir that to combine. And then I'm going to take it over, because the recipe, the 15th century recipe, says to put there to and seethe. That means to boil, stir them well. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it over to the hob and I'm going to bring it up to a simmer, and then it will be ready to serve. So it's a nice simple pudding. I've put the rice mixture in the saucepan over to the hob. So now I'm just going to light it. That's fine. And I'm going to bring it up to a simmer while I mix it, because we don't want any of it sticking at all. Right, it's just starting to bubble, it's just coming up to a simmer, so I'm just going to let it simmer at that just for a few seconds. It really does look like a sort of modern British style rice pudding, something that was a real childhood favourite of mine. I love rice pudding. So that's come up to a simmer, so I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to serve myself some to try. So it looks quite plain. I guess you could put, if you want to sort of modernise it even more or jazz it up a bit, you could put perhaps some candied peel in it. You could put some sultanas in it, some raisins or something. So I'm just going to taste it now. I can smell the honey, actually. It's got a real honey smell. Yeah, it's nice. I can taste the cinnamon and nutmeg that I added. I think it would be quite plain without them, so I'm glad I added it. But it's nice, it's sweet. It's like a sweet rice, really. It's really, really nice. There's certainly enough that I've made there for perhaps a family of 4 to have it as a dessert. And yeah, it's a nice simple pudding, nice and easy to make. So yeah, I recommend this one, it's a good one. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Do try it. Take care. Bye.